In this video, we are going to assess the communication and concentration component of verbal communication and its effectiveness on gameplay by listening and watching a rugby league game where Peter Wallace from the Panthers is mic'd up. We will code each time there is verbal communication in the game using the Grammar of Games assessment tool, just like we did in the previous analysis. So coding either 1, 2, 3 or 4 based on the effectiveness of the communication used. What we will be looking for are the types of communication used by Peter, such as emotional, acknowledgement, uncertainty, action or off-task statements, and whether or not these are effective for gameplay. An average of these scores will be taken at the end, and this will allow us to determine where Peter sits on the Grammar of Games scale in regards to the communication and concentration component of verbal communication. Alright, so we've got the game here between Penrith here and the Raiders, Canberra Raiders. Peter Wallace is this one here, and he's mic'd up in this game, so we can really get a good sense of the types of communication that he's using and the verbal communication and its effectiveness on gameplay. So we'll just go through the clips. I might rewind and we'll listen to them again, and then as well observing the gameplay sequence to see whether or not the gameplay is effective or not. So here we go.
Jamal strikes. Sally!
Alright, so in that one, he yelled out to Jamie Soward, he yelled his name out twice, so he's using very direct language there. So that's an action statement that he's using, and as you could see, the gameplay was effective.
Here he is, Jamal.
He got delivered the ball as he wanted to and quickly passed it on. He was able to break the line and go through. However, the winger here did drop the ball, although because his verbal communication was successful, I'll give that a 3. So that is a 3. And then we'll go on to the next one.
Concentrate, mate. Catch first, all right? Catch first.
Alright, so that one there.
Concentrate, mate. Catch first, all right? Catch first.
So there you can see Peter Wallace talking to the winger that dropped the ball, telling him to catch first, alright? So that would be an instructional statement used by Wallace there, and we'll give that a 3. So it's not highly effective. It's not highly effective there, but it is helping him to, he's not saying it in a malicious way. He's really just motivating him to keep going and next time hopefully catch the ball. So we continue on.
Come in here, go to Whiten. Buttress through Whiten, a tricky pass for Croker, it's been lost forward.
Alright, so let's go back. So he's in defence here and he's talking to this player here, and he says, sorry.
Come in here, go to Whiten.
Come in here, going to Whiten. So he's talking to players around him, he's in defence, he's reading the play, he's anticipating that the ball is going to go to Whiten. Which it does. This is Whiten here. The defence rushes up.
Through Whiten, a tricky
He
pass.
throws a bad ball to this player here and they get a turnover.
It's been lost forward.
Alright, so I would give that a 4. And it is a action statement where he was able to predict what the play, he was able to predict what was going to happen in the play, and that allowed the players around him to rush up. They knew who they had, and they were able to make quicker decisions on their defensive play. So let's look at the next one.
Tip on.
Alright, so that one, he yells out, tip on, tip on, tip on. So this one, he's talking to his players again in defence, tip on, tip on, tip on, predicting that the ball's going to be tipped on to the second player running.
Tip on.
In which it does.
Tip on.
They're able to make a successful tackle. Alright, so I would give that a 4 again. As well, it's an action statement. He's predicting the play, allowing the players around him to really know what they're doing in defence. Alright, the next one.
Put it up, put it up!
So he just yelled, put it up to Jamie Soward here, who has the ball and is going to kick. So he's telling him to put the ball up into the air.
He goes hot.
This allows Soward to know that he's going to have chasers running with him. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chasers here.
Again, Milford will come forward, plenty of chasers.
So there you see Peter Wallace puts pressure on the catcher here and that he knocks it on and they get the ball back. So again, that's an action statement which allowed Jamie Soward to know that he's going to be chasing there. So we'd give that a 4. All right, this one here, he is talking to Jamie Soward again. Let's have a listen.
You got to kick on 3, mate. You got to kick on 3.
So he's saying you got to kick on 3, you got to kick on 3. So that's an instructional statement. Let's have a look. So we would give that a 2. There's really no outcome to that statement. It's just a general conversation instructing him you need to kick on 2. There's no really effectiveness on play there. However, if we watch the next play sequence.
Sowie, let's go.
So he just said there, Sowie, let's go, as in referring to that prior conversation between them. So that would be an action statement.
Sowie, let's go. Sowie, go.
So he kicks the ball.
Now Soward kicking mid-tackle count, looking for a 40-20, a big skid. He's done it.
And gets a 40-20. So that would be 4, as the play was very effective. They're going to get the ball back on their 10-metre line, which is really good outcome. Here you can see Wallace is at second marker and he's talking to the first marker here and telling him that he's going to go short side. So he's going to go to the right and cover this area here, allowing him to make a quicker decision to go into field. Where that marker is able to make a successful tackle and the Raiders player knocks it on. So that's an action statement and we would give that a 3. Okay, right after that play, if we watch. He's saying, great shot, Chico. So he's talking to the player that made the tackle and forced the error on the defence. So that is an acknowledgement statement and we'll give that a 3 as well. Last one here, he's on the line with possession and we'll just have a listen.
Yes, Cammy!
So he says, yes, Cammy, talking
Cammy!
to the hooker. Whoops. Talking to the hooker. He also said, hot, which is usually a communication that he is demanding the ball. So that's an action statement. He receives the ball, puts the kick in for the winner to score. Alright, so we would give that a 4. Okay, so if we add up all of the scores and divide by 10, that gives us an average of 3.4, which is a great average. And we go here to our tool. We go to communication and concentration, 3.4, so it's sitting in the middle of developed and highly developed. We go down here. The player will display different verbal and non-verbal communication. So we were just looking at the verbal there within offense and defense. So we had examples from both offense and defense, and he was definitely displaying different kinds of verbal communication, as we saw with the range of types of communication throughout the game. Their attentional focus is more team orientated, which certainly was, where majority of his communication that he was displaying was for the team's the outcome of the team. You know, he wasn't individual. He wanted the ball so he could score. He didn't score any time within that game. It was so he could get the ball and kick. So he'd get the ball and chase for the kick. or he was talking to players around him so they knew what they were doing in defence. If we looked at the highly developed strand here, communication is appropriate for the game situation. Yep, that's obvious. Communication enhances both their own and individual play and their team's performance, just like I was saying before. Yes, his play was enhanced by the way he was communicating, but also the team's performance. A lot of the good outcomes were from his team members' tackles, kicking performances, and that came off the back of his effective communication. The player can concentrate on cues while communicating in play. So you can definitely see he's highly developed because he can predict what's going to happen, and so he's already looking ahead of the gameplay and concentrating on cues off the ball, and he's able to communicate these. Once he's focused his attention on that, he can communicate it back to his other players. So we would definitely put him in the middle of developed and highly developed.